Good afternoon and welcome to this session. My name is Serge Van Tiel. I am the founder of iStrategize, a company that focuses on helping companies through their digital transformation. Today I would like to discuss a bit about how to approach a digital strategy. Many businesses are on the verge of getting into a digital transformation, although also many companies are still reluctant to dive into digital transformation as they do not exactly know how to approach that. In the upcoming 15 to 20 minutes, I want to share with you some insights and a potential approach that you, with your business unit or with your company or with your division, it depends a bit on what the situation exactly is how you can actually look into what the digital age and the artificial intelligence age is bringing us, and how you can translate that back towards your own strategy. Now, digital transformation is a buzzword. A lot of people talk about it. It has many definitions. This is actually the definition I found on Wikipedia. So it is about technology. It's about the adoption of digital technology to actually transform your services. So it's not just about automating or bringing things to the cloud. It's really about profoundly looking into new businesses and services that may enable your customers in their current, but also in their future needs. So if you think about digital transformation, there are so many sides to that. If you look at this taxonomy of all kinds of innovations that are currently around, if it's IoT, it's robotics, machine learning, process mining, many of those things that many of us heard of, but are not quite sure of what it exactly is and how to actually apply that. So it's very difficult to get a grasp of everything that's currently flying around. It makes us and businesses often very anxious because it creates a sense of urgency, whether it's there or not. But the fact that everybody's talking about it, but not probably everybody is doing it already, but it makes it sometimes difficult for businesses to actually pinpoint to what types of topics they should get their arms around and see how that actually creates markets or expands markets or prolongs markets that they currently are dealing with. So it's a question of how should we apply this in our strategy, when, and how does that actually fit in our strategy? Because that's one of the potential important steps, is to see how you can actually get your arms around all the digital transformation topics that are currently flying around, how you embed that in your strategy. Well, many companies that are currently on the verge of taking steps into the digital age sometimes get stuck. And meaning get stuck is not that they're reluctant to change or are unable to change. In some cases, it's also not on the agenda yet. For example, on the right, you see a research that was performed by Capgemini. And you see that in many cases, digital transformation is on the agenda. But if you look at how it's being performed, and if there are already roadmaps and strategies around that, you see still more than half of the companies are still working on making that happen in future. So there might be reasons to not do that. In some cases, it's difficult to find new strategic direction, or if you're a market leader, question is, okay, well, is there enough urgency to actually live after the day tomorrow? And in some industries, it's difficult to find the ability to innovate business models. In many companies, there's a definite impact on culture, or a company, if they really want to digitize and innovate products, it is definitely in need of a cultural change. The way the company works, going from a classical company more to an agile, rolling strategy type of company, that also requires cultural change. And many companies already face human capital challenges, whether it's actually they lack or do not have enough access to the right resources in future. If you look right now in some industries, in 10 years from now, 50% of their employees will be obsolete due to the digital age. So there definitely is a need for taking steps into another strategic direction. So going a bit back in time, you see here the actual, if you will, technological waves that started even before Christ. So the agricultural wave was when we started to harvest land and build our own food, etc. And you see that wave and development took quite some time and was not that steep. Now, in the Middle Ages, you saw that markets were starting to develop. There was trade amongst the people in the various areas in the world. In the 19th, but mostly in the 20th century, there was the Industrial Revolution, where industrialization and came and made huge steps. And you see that the development and the speed of development was ramping up very significantly. And in the late 20th century and early 21st century, you saw the computing, the digital wave kicking in. And as we saw is, and as you can see, actually, the digital wave is very vertical. So you see that the impact is very high and the speed of developments and new technology goes so fast that it's very difficult sometimes to keep up with that. So it's the age of digitization that we're currently living in. And if you look at the taxonomy on the right, these are all types of topics that are currently impacting markets all around the globe. And now the question is, how can you, as a company, strategize on those topics nowadays? And actually, this is the digital age, but actually what we see currently already is a fifth wave, which is the artificial wave. And that goes even, well, you see it actually go off the chart. So that even goes further off the chart. And you see those technologies evolve over time and are in most technology companies already, but it's more and more also impacting daily life and daily products, and definitely near future needs of also your company's businesses. So the question is, how does this actually fit your company's strategy with all those topics around digital transformation? What's the direction to go to? What are the actual topics that as a company you should get your arms around and actually assess the impact on what your future customer needs will be? Actually, what I would like to do is go over 3 potential strategy methods. Obviously, there are thousands of strategy methods that you can actually use. I want to discuss one. So there are 3 high-level methods. One is inside out. So you start with your company, which is more product-centric, focusing on good quality product, sometimes it's price, sometimes it's quality, and then you find your market for it. Another way is outside in, where you actually do it the other way around. So you start your strategy with your customer needs. So what is it that my customer actually needs right now, and how can we as a company fulfill those needs? Is what also a way of exploring your new strategy. The third one is actually foresighting. Actually, what you do there is combine those technology waves with your customer needs and make those two topics centric for your future developments in your company. And that's actually the piece that I would like to elaborate a bit more on in the next slide. So we're back here at the taxonomy of the actual wave. So I took here the digital and the artificial wave, where many of those technology drivers nowadays are in the center. So imagine taking a giant leap forward 2030. If you close your eyes, whether it's together with your executive board or your management team even, what would your customer needs be in 2030? So if you take that stepped approach, step one is identify those customer needs. What does it look like? What are the needs of that particular customer? And imagine what that foresight would look like. So for a bank, for example, here is a small example. One could perhaps imagine that a bank is a one platform, a bank where somebody has instant access to all financial products, whether it's instant credit, whether it's your inquiries, your mortgage, your loans, your insurances, etc., so that you have access to all your financial services at one time. But the question is also, how do these technology drivers actually facilitate or speed up those customer needs? So first step is to identify those customer needs together and imagine what that foresight would look like. And imagining the foresight means looking at the taxonomy and looking at which technology drivers are going to impact or are going to accelerate your potential customer needs in future. So, for example, you take big data, Internet of Things, industry platforms, blockchain, autonomous smart things, as just an example. But one could well imagine that these are topics that are very close to financial products in future, that they are accelerators of the needs of financial services in 2030 or even closer by. So that's actually the next step, is but to identify those technology drivers and select those key technology drivers that are actually going to drive your customer needs in 2030. Now, having said that, it's very important to assess the impact of the technology drivers. So which of those technology drivers are going to impact those customer needs the most and are going to impact your market the most? By making sure that you attach those drivers and make them concrete and assess how they are going to impact your products, your services towards 2030. You could use the STEEP methodology which stands for sociological, technological, environmental, economical, and political, to see what the environmental impact, what the impact of these angles is on those actual technology drivers. So will political circumstances in 2030, will they actually drive big data, or will it actually somehow block big data. So these are exercises to do together to make sure that you have the right direction for each of those technology drivers that you are attaching to your strategy. And the next step is you could pick a halfway point. So 2025, that's still in the current age miles away from now. So some companies are even looking just 1 year ahead. And obviously that's definitely something, well, we all know in what situation we have been over the last 8 months. So things can change dramatically. That needs to be a definite piece of agility in your strategy or in your strategic approach. But nonetheless, you need to have a foresight and a view on what the dot or on the horizon might be, and there will be impacts from left and right. But if you go through this exercise, it will definitely open a box of creativity and pointing your company in the right direction. Again, you can do this on various levels. So it means that you can actually do this within your department, within your organization, on an executive board level, but you can also do that within your business unit. One thing is for sure that the digital age is rapidly evolving, and there is definitely a where it is going to impact, or already is impacting, your products, your customers, and their actual needs. So this is a way of going through this exercise. And this concludes actually my presentation. I hope I've given you a bit of insight in what a strategic approach could look like if you want to create a future-proof strategy that is actually embedding all these topics around digital transformation in it. So I want to thank you very much for your attention. And if there are any questions around the topics we discussed, please feel free to reach out. Thanks again for your time, and I wish you a very pleasant Congress. Thank you. Bye bye.